joining us, and would also like to thank those of you tuning in live across the city, across the province, and across the country on either television, radio, or streaming live on the internet. Today's announcement is one that many have been waiting for with great anticipation for the past 16 years, and I think the last 12 days have demonstrated that in some very vivid detail. True North Sports and Entertainment has long maintained that our goal as an organization has been to bring the best entertainment the world has to offer to this province, whether it be the best in the music industry or the highest caliber of athlete in the world of sports. Since MTS Centre opened in November of 2004, the citizens of this province and this city have made it one of the most popular facilities in Canada, North America, and in the world. We hope today that we are offering them another reason to make it so. The organization is thankful for the public's support. We have invested in this community in the past, and now, once again, we plan to do so for the future. But at the same time, we are asking the community to invest in that future along with us. Today marks the most significant announcement thus far as it relates to the City of Winnipeg, the Province of Manitoba, True North Sports and Entertainment, and the National Hockey League. To make that announcement, I'd like to call upon the Chairman of the Board of True North Sports and Entertainment, Mr. Mark Chipman.
Thanks, Scott. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. In the spring of 1995, I was very fortunate to become closely involved with our community's efforts to save our NHL team. I came away from that experience with a deep sense of disappointment, but also the realization that our lack of success was not anyone's fault. Rather, after 17 years, the economics of our city and the NHL were no longer compatible. While the loss of the Winnipeg Jets in many ways had a profound effect on the psyche of our city and province, I believe it also stiffened our resolve to press on and jointly move our community forward. One of the ways our family joined in that effort was through the investment in what was then the very next best level of hockey available in North America, with a commitment to run the Manitoba Moose Hockey Club to the greatest extent possible, as though we were still in the NHL. With the support of a fantastic group of sponsors and Moose fans, we were able to quickly gain an understanding of the business of professional hockey and turn our attention to the dream of building a new facility in downtown Winnipeg. In 1999, we took the first steps toward making that dream a reality, and in 2001, we entered into what would become an incredible partnership with David Thompson, who embraced the vision we had for downtown Winnipeg. We were joined in that effort by a number of like-minded Manitobans, and with the support of the city, the province, and our federal government, we opened the doors of the MTS Centre in November of 2004. At the same time, the National Hockey League was engaged in an exhaustive effort to correct the underlying economics of its business model. A few years prior, I had met and began to establish a relationship with Gary Bettman through my involvement in the merger of the International and American Hockey Leagues. Although I suspect he may not recall it, I remember telling him at that time that I expected our city would one day again take membership in the NHL. I continue to make that point at every opportunity and was always given a thoughtful response. Finally, in 2007, we were asked to make a presentation to the Executive Committee of the Board of Governors on how and why we felt an NHL team could succeed in Manitoba. With the assistance of a number of other Canadian NHL teams, we developed a very thorough understanding of the modern economics of the game. The pursuit of that knowledge has never stopped. Throughout that process, our relationship with Gary and his team at the NHL continued to develop, and I believe a high level of trust was established. Two other very significant series of developments occurred over that same 15-year continuum. Firstly, our community continued to invest in itself, and as a result, has been able to move forward on many levels, notably against the same economic headwinds that brought the rest of the world to a standstill. And secondly, during that time, our organization grew up, and it matured, and in my humble opinion, has long since operated at an NHL standard. In fact, over the years, many of our Moose staff, our trainers, our coaches, and players, including several that will compete for this year's Stanley Cup, have been called up to pursue their NHL dreams. While it's always been gratifying to see that occur, it's also always caused us to ponder what it might feel like if one day our organization might receive that same call. Today, on behalf of my family, our partner David Thompson, and our entire organization, I am excited beyond words to announce our purchase of the Atlanta Thrashers. In a sense, I guess you could say that True North, our city and our province, has received the call we've long since been waiting for. Now, as Mr. Bettman will explain in a moment, this transaction is subject to the approval of the NHL Board of Governors on June 21st. Amongst other things, the League will carefully scrutinize our community's capacity to be a stable and productive member of the League. Later this morning, you will also hear from our President, Jim Ludlow, who will explain in detail a process that we believe will ensure our ability to satisfy the League's interests. Allow me to say that I personally have no reservation in this community's ability to do so. Before you hear from Mr. Bettman, allow me to take this opportunity to thank several individuals who've played a vital role in the extraordinary effort that was necessary to bring us to this day. As I hope you can appreciate, transactions of this nature are very complicated and require a team of highly skilled and passionate professionals that are apparently willing to work right through the night. In that regard, we've been blessed to work with Carmel Peter, Rob Lee, and Brian Lerner from Aikens, together with Lawrence Zucker and Len Pace of Osmington, and Brad Peacock from McGill-Stevenson. As well, we've had the benefit of the skill and knowledge of our own Jim Ludlow, John Olford, Norva Riddell, Dorian Morphy, and Scott Brown from True North. And I would especially like to acknowledge the incredible contribution of Mr. Terry Morris of Allen and Company, without whom, frankly, I'm not sure I'd be standing here today. You will also be hearing from Premier Greg Selinger in a few moments. The Premier has enthusiastically supported the return of the National Hockey League since we first presented the idea to him well over a year ago, and has played a vital role in bringing this possibility to a reality here today. I'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Bruce Levinson of the Atlanta Spirit for the honorable and professional way in which they engaged this transaction. And finally, I wish to thank Mr. Gary Bettman and the entire staff at the National Hockey League, with whom we have worked with over the past several years, for their guidance, trust, and the respect that they have shown us throughout the entire process. I need to also acknowledge my family, who have been, frankly, incredible. And my partner, David Thompson, whom has been absolutely steadfast throughout what at times was a very turbulent process. With that, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the Commissioner of the National Hockey League, Mr. Gary Bettman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Welcome, everyone, this morning, and it is nice to be back in Winnipeg after all these years. Okay. I want to start out by thanking Mark Chipman and David Thompson for their patience, their professionalism, their perseverance, and persistence. Mark has been pursuing the NHL, as you heard, for a number of years, quietly and obviously quite effectively. No doubt that this pursuit reflects the passion of our fans in Winnipeg. And while Mark has been working behind the scenes with us over the years, staying in touch, working the process, and keeping the lines of communication open, at the same time, the owners of the Atlanta Thrashers have been looking to sell their club. Over this period of time, no real local purchaser emerged, and ultimately Atlanta's ownership, which has made it clear that they want out, reached outside the Atlanta market. As is obvious by the fact that we're here today, True North and Atlantic Spirit early this morning reached an agreement that would bring the NHL back to this city. And when I say early this morning, I won't be telling tales out of school to tell you that we were, with others, were actually on a conference call at 4:30 this morning Eastern Time, and it wasn't done yet. This transaction and the club's relocation are, as Mark said, subject to the approval of the NHL Board of Governors, and it is our expectation that this matter will be on the June 21st meeting agenda. As we have said repeatedly, we don't like to move franchises, but sometimes, even if it's been 14 years since the last time we moved the franchise, sometimes we simply have no choice, as it was the case back in '96 when the Jets left Winnipeg. At that time, and for a variety of reasons we don't have to go into today, no one at that time simply wanted to own the Jets any longer in Winnipeg. To our fans in Atlanta, we are not happy about it leaving Atlanta. Please be assured it was never about whether Winnipeg is better than Atlanta. The decision to come to Winnipeg was made only after Atlanta's ownership made the decision that they were going to sell, even if it meant the club was going to leave Atlanta. So with that decision made, it is clear that times have changed for Winnipeg as an NHL market, and this is a wonderful time to add a club to Canada. Hockey in Canada has never been stronger. The NHL has a different economic system that allows these so-called smaller markets to compete. The NHL is coming off another season of record revenues in both Canada and the United States, and our prospects remain extraordinarily bright. This venue, the MTS Center, will be a fine, fine home for an NHL club, and there is the strength of the prospective ownership group. We now also, and perhaps this is the most poignant point, we get to be back in a place we wish we hadn't left in 1996. With this background, the best way for our fans here in Winnipeg to celebrate the opportunity is to buy season tickets. Selling season tickets, selling 13,000 season tickets, is the best message to send to the NHL Board of Governors before they meet on June 21st. And to be candid, this isn't going to work very well unless this building is sold out every night. There is no doubt that NHL hockey has tremendous support here, and we know we've had tremendous fans in Atlanta. The fans in both cities have been through a lot the past several weeks, and hopefully everyone is now in a position to move forward. I certainly will be happy to take questions later. I'm going to turn things over to Jim Ludlow, but again, thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Actually, we're going to thank one of the parties first that is without their support. As Mark mentioned, this would not be possible, and that most notably would be our provincial government. And to offer a message on behalf of the province, I would like to call upon the Premier of Manitoba, Mr. Greg Selinger.
Well, NHL, welcome home here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's great to have you back here. It's great to have you back here where you belong. And we've missed you, and we're going to make it work forever now that you're back. There's been a lot of talk over the last 15 years about the NHL returning. But as we all know, what makes a great hockey player just isn't talk. It's how you perform on the ice. And that's what Mark Chipman and his team of True North have done. They've buckled down and performed and got it done and brought the team back to Winnipeg. Wayne Gretzky once said, you shouldn't go where the puck is. You should skate to where the puck is going to be. And that's what Mark and his team have done. They've skated to where the NHL should be, right back here in Manitoba, right back here in Winnipeg. And we're so proud of this achievement and excited to have them back here in Manitoba. It's a fantastic day for all of us, and we could be just thrilled by what we've accomplished here. But you know, I was thinking about this when I remembered we retired Mark Keene's sweater just this winter. And Mark Keene, when he was being talked about by Mark, he said he showed dedication, perseverance, and community commitment. And as I was thinking about that, those are the qualities that Mark and his team have shown. Dedication, perseverance, and commitment to the community. And that's paying off for us today. So, where do we go from now? We know that 15 years ago, things were different in Manitoba. Today, we walk with confidence. Today, we walk with a feeling that anything's possible, and the NHL team is a symbol of that great optimism that we have for the future of the province. Downtown Winnipeg is much different. With the cooperation of all three levels of government, we now have the MTS Centre, and it has proven to be a great success. There were naysayers, there were people that said it couldn't be done, it shouldn't be done, and it can't be done. We've proved them all wrong. It's been a fantastic success on every level. As a performing arts center, as a hockey center, as an asset that has pumped excitement and other redevelopment into the downtown. So now the second step has just been completed, the buying of the team, and we all heard about how difficult that was and how hard it was to bring that transaction to fruition. And I want to thank all the people behind the scenes that don't normally get recognized for all the work you've done. It's always very complex to bring these transactions to fruition, and everybody's worked exceedingly well together. So now it's up to the rest of us. It's up to the rest of us to step up and show that we can support this team by buying season tickets. I know I'll be doing that. I know a lot of you will be doing that in this room. We'll all come together as a community. We'll meet that $13,000 target for season's tickets. We'll have a great success in doing that. And you know what? The NHL is going to be here. It's going to be here for good. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty a little bit of today's announcement. Well, today is indeed a day to celebrate for Manitoba hockey fans. It is also the beginning of a short period of focused commitment from these same individuals. To explain, I'd like to call upon the President of True North Sports and Entertainment, Mr. Jim Ludlow.
Thank you, Scott. Didn't expect it to be as emotional and surreal a day as it has turned out to be. When Mark was speaking there, I was a little choked. It is a very, very special day for all of us. I do want to welcome, on behalf of True North Sports and Entertainment, all of you here today. For many of you, as you know, in the sports media, this building has become a second home to all of you over the past few years. For others, perhaps our media friends from Toronto in attendance here today, this may be a first of many visits to come. Welcome to Winnipeg's new home of NHL hockey. A decade ago, True North had a simple vision of developing a state-of-the-art sports and entertainment center in downtown Winnipeg. In November of 2004, this vision became a reality as True North opened the MTS Centre as a dramatic, new sports and entertainment landmark right here in downtown Winnipeg. Today, the MTS Centre is renowned throughout North America for its success in terms of diversity of entertainment, attendance records, management and operating expertise, and consistently busy entertainment calendar. Since 2004, over 6.4 million people have enjoyed over 1,100 different events at the MTS Centre, including world-class performances by Keith Urban, Elton John, Van Morrison, Eric Clapton, Celine Dion, Coldplay, and the Eagles, to name just a few. The MTS Centre has been a leading ranked venue in North America since the day it opened, was the Canadian Major Facility of the Year in 2009, and while consistently in the top 5, has risen as high as 3rd in Canada and 19th in the world in Polestar magazine's top 100 list. Our Manitoba Moose have been the benchmark franchise in the American Hockey League since coming into the league in 2001 in terms of revenue and revenue growth, league-leading attendance, management innovation, and overall passionate fan support. Meeting and exceeding expectations, a dynamic culture, an ethic of basic hard work and discipline, the strength of corporate organization and community, a collective desire to move ahead, the skill and expertise of all of our staff, all taken together, have provided True North with a confident base from which to move forward. As Mark mentioned earlier, we have carefully and very carefully and quietly monitored developments in the National Hockey League over the past number of years and always understood among ourselves that if the right opportunity arose and at the right time, we would consider executing on this next logical step, not only in terms of expansion of our business footprint, but in the expansion and progression of the collective mindset of Manitobans living in a dynamic, healthy, and progressive, forward-moving community. With that in mind, we are thrilled today not only to have made the announcement regarding the purchase of the Thrashers, but are very excited to formally kick off our Drive to 13,000 season ticket sales campaign in support of the new NHL Hockey Club in Winnipeg for the coming 2011-2012 season. As mentioned, the purchase of the Thrashers will be subject to NHL Board of Governors approval on June 21. Among other things, board approval will consider the level of support generated in Winnipeg during a season ticket campaign. The Drive to 13,000 is this necessary season ticket sales campaign advanced in the Manitoba marketplace by True North for the successful sale of 13,000 season tickets prior to this board meeting. The success of the Drive to 13,000 will ensure the long-term viability of an NHL team in Winnipeg and will allow our fans to showcase their support by participating in a season ticket drive that will secure NHL hockey in Manitoba for years to come. The Drive to 13,000 will start tomorrow, Wednesday, June 1st at 1 p.m. and will include a 3-day priority pre-sale available only to Moose season ticket holders and mini-pack holders and our corporate partners. This advanced pre-sale will end Friday, June 3rd at 10 p.m. NHL season tickets for the 2011-2012 season at the MTS Centre will officially go on sale to the general public this Saturday, June 4th at 12 noon. As of 11 a.m. this morning, our new drive213.com website, interactive and informative as it is now live. Drive213.com will be every fan's roadmap to placing a deposit on and purchasing season tickets for the upcoming NHL season at the MTS Centre. Truly interactive and designed for ease and efficiency, season ticket transactions will originate online and only through this website. Fans are directed to log on to www.drive213.com using all of the helpful prompts to navigate through the website, linking finally to ticketmaster.ca to complete this purchase transaction. For NHL hockey in Winnipeg, the upper and lower bowls of the MTS Centre have been rescaled into 7 price categories, now known as P1 to P7. A pricing exercise in any given marketplace necessitates the balancing of a number of market-specific variables. In arriving at what we believe to be the 7 ideal price categories in the MTS Centre required a careful review of a number of key variables, including our market size and capacity, our building size, team operating costs, Canadian market comparables, and our history with existing hockey customers over our years of operation in the AHL and at NHL exhibition games. The results of this exercise have been considered and reconsidered. The numbers, the market comparables, all have been scrubbed and re-scrubbed. We think you will be pleased with the results and what will become True North's pricing for regular season NHL hockey at the MTS Centre. A premium P1 NHL ticket in the MTS Centre will cost $129. The entry-level P7 NHL ticket is just $39. The full P1 to P7 ticket price ranges for NHL hockey at the MTS Centre are referred to in the table on the screen. For as little as $39 per ticket, fans can regularly see the top hockey talent in the world. Superstars like Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Winnipegger Jonathan Toews, and former Manitoba Moose Ryan Kessler skating here at the MTS Centre this fall. On a full season ticket basis, these prices per ticket are then rolled up into a 41 regular season and 4 preseason game package. The full season ticket package prices per season range from a low in P7 of $1,755 to $5,805 in P1. The table on the screen illustrates the full season ticket package prices in P1 to P7. Half season, 22 and 23 game ticket packages are also available in P6 and P7, starting at prices as low as $858. The average ticket price for NHL hockey in Winnipeg's MTS Centre is about $80. The average price of a ticket in the lower bowl is just over $100, and in the upper bowl, which includes P5, P6, and P7, and represents over 45% of the Drive to 13,000 inventory, the average cost of a ticket is less than $55 in the upper bowl. In terms of context, we've also considered how MTS Centre ticket prices might stack up against other relevant Canadian cities, for example, Ottawa, Edmonton, and Calgary. The ticket package price ranges in those markets are as follows. In Ottawa, the range is $29 to $141. In Edmonton, the range is $30 to $176. In Calgary, the range is $34 to $180. Average ticket prices at the MTS Centre are clearly comparable to what other similar Canadian markets are charging their fans. At the same time, and those of you who have experienced a full house of Manitoba Moose hockey at the MTS Centre know, the experience in the intimacy of our event bowl is second to none. As part of the Drive to 13,000 ticket pricing exercise, we've also addressed what we believe are important value-added features for all of our customers in managing their purchase decision: affordability, cash flow, seat certainty, and price certainty. In response to these features, True North will offer all ticket purchasers convenient and affordable monthly payment plans, which will provide them with an effective tool to participate as NHL fans at the MTS Centre. In the case of a P7 full-season ticket package, for example, the monthly payment is just over $146. In the case of the top ticket in the house, the monthly payment would be a little over $525 per month. We think these financing alternatives make a bunch of sense as available options to our fans. Even easier are the half-season ticket packages in P6 and P7. In both of those sections, the monthly cost for half-season ticket packages range from $70 to just over $100 per month. We believe NHL hockey in Winnipeg is well priced. We are confident of how this ticket pricing will work within our broader financial model. We also feel it is important to provide certainty in this equation for the fans and for True North. Certainty of seat location year over year, certainty of ticket pricing for our fans, and certainty of annual revenue for True North. All season ticket packages purchased by fans in all price categories will include multi-year rights and benefits. Based on the table referred to on the screen, which provides an outline of the term of commitment associated with each price category. Price points P1 and P2 have 5-year terms. Price points P3, P4, and P5 have 4-year terms. And in price points P6 and P7, we have 3-year terms available. The result in this case is that fans will have certainty of their seat location over the term. True North will guarantee that ticket prices will not rise by more than 3% per year during the term. And in exchange, True North can rely on committed annual revenue for tickets over the terms outlined, the proverbial quid pro quo, if you will. Taken together, though, this recipe will provide for successful, long-term, and sustainable NHL hockey in Winnipeg's MTS Centre. Now, please allow me to jump back quickly to the mechanics of the transaction that will secure NHL tickets for fans this coming season. Once logged on to www.drive13.com, fans will find lots of helpful information, including seating charts, ticket prices, seating maps, FAQs, top 10 things you need to know about the Drive to 13,000, and among other things, a daily ticket drive meter. Navigating through the pre-sale, on-sale drop-down menus on the website will eventually get all purchasers to a place where there's a link to Ticketmaster.ca, the site where the actual transaction will take place. At that point, fans will be asked to place a deposit on a seat in a particular price category. That deposit will guarantee fans the right to select a seat in that price category during a selection process which will occur after the successful completion of the drive. When it is your turn to select seats, you will be contacted directly and individually by a ticket sales and service representative from True North to begin this process. This process not only ensures one-on-one contact with our fans, it also provides an ability for our fans to select their seats in person at the MTS Centre. We estimate this process will take 8 to 10 weeks to complete post the drive. The deposit will be paid only once during the term. Based on the price categories selected on seats, will range from $500 in P7 to $1,000 in P1. In the case of a half-season selection, which is available in price categories P6 and P7, the one-time deposit amount is as low as $250. Deposit proceeds will be held by True North and returned to the purchaser at the end of the term or credited towards a further deposit in the event the term is extended. As there is a pre-sale starting tomorrow available to Moose season ticket holders, mini-pack holders, and corporate partners, we expect demand to be strong through the pre-sale and very brisk during the on-sale. We would encourage everyone to log on in advance to familiarize themselves with all of the exciting True North, MTS Centre, NHL information on our drive13.com website. Transactions, as I said, must be completed online, and phone orders cannot be processed during the Drive to 13,000. With a successful drive, the availability of individual tickets will be limited. Your best chance for securing NHL tickets at the MTS Centre will be to purchase one of these ticket packages. So please remember, log on to drive13.com. The pre-sale starts Wednesday, June 1 at 1 p.m. The puck drops at noon on Saturday, June 4th for general public on-sale. These are terrific times to be living in Winnipeg. Today is, as I said earlier, a beautiful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. I think we'll now take questions from the floor. As I pointed out to those of you that are here earlier, we have a couple of microphones, wireless microphones floating around the room. If you have a question for any of the participants here at the head table, please raise your hand and wait for the microphone to get to you. I will point to you, and you'll wait for the microphone to get to you. Then there's no need to stand. Please identify who you are, who you're with, who your question is directed towards before asking the question. Mr. Lawless in the middle.
Mr. Thompson, a question for you. You've been a partner with True North for some time. What about the Chipman family, True North, and the city of Winnipeg has made you want to make this kind of an investment in a city that you don't live in?
That's a very good question. I have a deep attachment to the city, to the province, and to the country. I go back longer than I'd like to remember, to my Hudson's Bay Company days. And probably on every nook and cranny, certainly in this country, the rural communities, there's a heartfelt sense of community in Winnipeg and in Manitoba. I've always felt inspired by the leadership, by the ambitions, and there's been more than a tinge of regret in me, as with all other Winnipeggers and Manitobans, that the Jets left. And in working through the development of MTS and forging a rapport and a working relationship with Mark and his executives, we feel very, very, very strongly about one another's values and about the possibilities that lie ahead. To actually move something forward that's distinctive and that makes a difference in people's lives. So I am committed to this community as I am to this country. It's about time.
Well said.
We'll go over here. Sean Churchill over here.
Mark, everybody wants to know, has a name been chosen, and where are we going with it?
I have to tell you, I anticipated that question. Name has not been chosen, Sean. Gary was quite accurate when he said we worked right until the very early hours of this morning to conclude this transaction. We have been singularly focused on that effort for many weeks now, and while we know that subject is of great interest to the community, we have not fully engaged it yet. It is obviously one of the first orders of business that we'll turn ourselves to now, and we'll do so very thoughtfully. I can assure you of that, and everyone of that, and hopefully have some news on that in the very near future.
A question for Mr. Bettman. I'm Sean Reynolds with CBC. We're told there was just an absolute explosion at the Forks when this announcement went through. Describe what it's like for you to be able to bring that kind of passion back to a place like Winnipeg.
Well, I think we've been clear from the outset that we don't like moving franchises. We know how important a franchise is to a community, the emotional and financial investment that people make in NHL hockey and supporting their favorite franchise. We were extraordinarily unhappy when we left in '96. We had no choice. That's why with the celebration here, there's obviously regret about what's happening in Atlanta. But to be able to come back to a place that we know loves NHL hockey, to be able to do it in a city that's changed, with a collective bargaining agreement that's leveled the playing surface, with this building, with ownership, these were factors that didn't exist in '96. So to be able to come back to, if you will, right or wrong, that's always an extraordinary thing. And the sentiments that David Thompson expressed in terms of people's commitment, the community's commitment to come together behind something, is something that we value tremendously. So the opportunity to come back here, to bring a franchise back to Canada, which we know is the heart and soul of our game, is vitally important to us. and it's something that we're proud to do when the circumstances presented themselves.
What's your expectation of what will happen June 21st if that 13,000 tickets is not sold?
Well, I never like to engage in speculation, and certainly there's been enough speculation over the last few weeks to satisfy anyone's lifetime of speculation. But to the point, I never like to be presumptuous as to what the board will do, and it would be difficult for me to contemplate with all of the extraordinary effort that David and Mark have gone to, the investment that they're making, and the outcry from this community since 1996. I'm not going to even contemplate for a second the possibility that 13,000 aren't sold. It doesn't work, as I said, if this building isn't full every night.
Leah?
This question is for Mark. Mark, I'm sitting here beside Darren Millard. We're both born and bred here in Manitoba, and I got to say, when this team left, a part of the soul left of this province. Do you feel today, as you made this announcement, that you have returned that part back within Manitoba?
Welcome home, by the way, guys. Welcome back. Wow. I hope that that's how people feel about this. Such a broad range of emotion, frankly, that we're trying to reconcile today. Obviously, we've been long since very aware of how important participating in this league is to our community. We were front and center when it left, and as I mentioned in my remarks, it was a very, very difficult, disappointing process. But I would say this, as important as this may be, I think what is equally, if not more important, is the resiliency that this community showed over the past 15 years. And that's why we've gotten another opportunity. We didn't, wallow in self-pity. A lot of the people that were involved in that effort to keep the team here mobilized very quickly onto other causes. And I think there's a lot of evidence of their work and more coming, from the museum that we're anticipating to new libraries and incredible capital campaigns at our universities. That really emanated from, to a large extent, from that group that gave it their best shot in the first place. So whether or not we're restoring something, the soul of this community, I don't know if I can answer that. I think this is a great day for our community, but I think our community has shown itself to be an incredible one for, even in the vacuum that we've lived in terms of NHL hockey for the past 15 years.
My question is for Mr. Bettman. Mr. Bettman, how much do you think this will raise hopes in cities like Quebec City that wants to have their team back in the next few years?
Well, the reason I'm hesitating to answer the question is because you all know, particularly those of you who cover us on a daily basis, I get extremely unhappy and cranky with raising expectations when they shouldn't be raised. If you go back a month ago, all of the reports that said there was a done deal to move the Coyotes, and that was never the case, had a disruptive influence on the locker room for that team as the team was starting the playoffs. It also, in addition to creating uncertainty for the players and their families of the Coyotes, it raised expectations here at a time where they shouldn't have been raised yet. We believe that this situation, that is Atlanta moving, is unique to Atlanta. As we've gone 14 years without moving a franchise. Other leagues have moved lots of franchises in that time. We will continue to resist moving franchises because, as I said, it's not about which is better. It's about where we are and trying to preserve the community and the community's interest and the community's identity and love affair with its franchise, and we're not going to trifle with that. So other communities shouldn't be reading anything into what's happening here into any other situation, either with respect to speculation that a franchise may move or that another city is going to get one. That would be a mistake. It would be inaccurate. And so people shouldn't get their hopes up because we're going to continue to handle things as we did. Going back to the last question to Mark, I just want to add one thing. In all of my dealings with Mark over the years, and we're talking lots and lots of years, his focus to me has always been about Winnipeg and about Manitoba. That's what I always took from him as to what this pursuit was all about. Almost single-minded in that focus.
Darren? A question for Mark. When you took over the Moose and brought them here, you spent a lot of time selling people on the minor league hockey. You didn't like talking about the National Hockey League level very much. When did it switch for you that you thought maybe the National Hockey League would work again in Winnipeg? Do you remember that point in time?
Well, I think that clearly when the NHL came out of the lockout season of 2004, there was a very, very different economic model, prior to which we really couldn't even contemplate a return of the league. I mentioned that I think I mentioned it to Gary back in 2001, 2002, but I might have been dreaming, frankly, in Technicolor at that time. And it wasn't when we tried to establish the Moose. It wasn't easy, to be honest with you. We had no idea. I'm not embarrassed to say how difficult it was going to be to step into the void that was left. And it was difficult not just for myself, but for the people that came to work for us, that had to endure that every day when you're trying to sell a product that we were very proud of. But I guess to answer your question, when the league corrected itself in a very, very significant way, and we were able to, and we had created some friendships with other Canadian teams that very quickly embraced the idea of helping us understand the new game. That's when we started doing the math, and we said, we think this is very realistic, and I guess that's when it really began, was probably just coming out of 2004.
Two more. Tim Campbell.
Mr. Bettman, Tim Campbell from the Free Press. Can you explain to us, from the NHL's perspective, why this season ticket campaign is so important?
Well, I think it probably is better to come from the people who are investing in the club. But the fact is, what? Yeah, but there is a sense of excitement, a sense of anticipation. There had been a sense of loss. I don't think anybody has ever doubted that NHL hockey has great fans in Winnipeg, but unless the fans are prepared to support the franchise, it isn't going to work. And so there are two issues going on here. One, I think it would be a good idea to tell the Board of Governors as quickly as possible that there's nothing to worry about here. This is going to be great. And two, the economics of running a franchise, particularly in this building, in this market, require the support that having the predictability of season ticket holders will give you.
And if I could just add to that, Tim, I don't think it ought to be perceived today that 13,000 season ticket level is being imposed on us, by the National Hockey League. Singularly, it's an objective that we jointly feel is necessary and is achievable. When we first started talking to Gary about the reality of this, that conversation came up very quickly. That we're gonna need to be able to demonstrate and the community's desire to invest alongside us. And I don't mind saying, this is a very significant investment for our family and for David. And so we are of the same mind. We really are. This is not being imposed on us, but it has been, we do understand it. It will be looked to very, very carefully, and I understand that, and we accept that.
Final question, Arash.
Arash Madani, Rogers Sportsnet. Mark, Jim, I'm not sure which of you will answer this. With the draft just over 3.5 weeks away, Rick Dudley signed a contract extension. Where do things stand from a hockey operations standpoint, and who's going to be in charge moving forward from a management and coaching standpoint?
So thank you for that question. Very good one. We have got a lot of work to do. I've known Rick, by the way, for 15 years. We go way back to my first years in the International Hockey League. Have a very high regard for Rick. Haven't spoken to him. Expect to do so very shortly. You're correct. We got about 3.5 weeks until we select 7th overall, which we're very excited about. I would tell you that Craig Heisinger, who has been our general manager and who is responsible for a lot of that talent that's going to start playing for the Canucks tomorrow night, he will be have a very significant role in our hockey operations. Exactly which title and in which role he and I are we've been kicking around for a couple of weeks as this became real. But we owe it to Rick Dudley and to the rest of that organization to get with him as quickly as possible, because they're people with families and expectations, and so we'll be turning ourselves to that right away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize I couldn't get to everyone's questions. That's going to do it for the formal Q&A. For the members of the media that are here, True North Sports and Entertainment, I'm going to issue a press release beginning tomorrow at 4:30 every day, which will give you an update on the drive to 13,000. So that's just a technical matter that we'll take care of. We're excited about this next step in Manitoba's hockey history, and we hope the province is equally as excited as we are, the people of this province, and we hope to be here again in just a few short days talking about the successful completion of 13,000 and the successful return of the NHL to Winnipeg. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.